Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make the big corporate world make a little more sense. Today we're diving into New Horizon Aircraft Ltd's latest filing. And let's just say they're tinkering with their fundraising plans. It's not a huge surprise in the world of public companies, but it's always interesting to see the details. Before we jump in, if you like getting straight talk and real insights from these corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to chat more about these filings and get exclusive content, join our Discord community. The link is in the description below. Alright, so we're looking at a Form 8K filing from New Horizon Aircraft Limited. Think of an 8K as a big company announcement board, telling everyone about important stuff that is happening right now. This one is dated the 31st of October 2025, and it seems to be all about how they plan to raise more money. New Horizon Aircraft Limited is the company in focus. They're incorporated in British Columbia, Canada, and their stock is traded on the Nasdaq. The report tells us they are considered an emerging growth company, which gives them some flexibility in how they report things. Now, what's the big news? They have two main classes of securities registered with the exchange. First, there are their Class A ordinary shares, which is basically their common stock. If you own these, you're a part owner of the company. Then they have warrants. Imagine a coupon that gives you the right, but not the obligation, to buy a Class A ordinary share at a set price. In this case, that price is $11.5 per S-share. This is pretty common for companies that have gone public through a special purpose acquisition company or SPAC, or just as part of their fundraising strategy. Okay, here is the core of this filing. On the 31st of October 2025, New Horizon Aircraft Limited announced they are increasing the total amount of money they can raise through their existing sales agreement. This agreement, which they have with a firm called Jonas Trading Institutional Services, LLC, was originally set up back in February of 2025. Now they've bumped up the total potential offering price to a whopping $50 million. This isn't just new money, it includes shares that have already been sold under that agreement. What is really interesting is the breakdown. While the total ceiling is $50 million, they're specifying that from the 31st of October onwards, they can offer up to another $35,124,537 worth of these common shares. This suggests they've already sold a significant portion of the original offering, and they want to make sure they have the capacity to keep selling more if the market allows and they need the cash. It's like they've already sold most of their initial bake sale items and are deciding to bake a lot more cookies. Now, whenever you're issuing new shares, especially in large amounts, you need legal assurance that everything is on the up and up. This filing notes that a legal opinion regarding these shares is included. This is standard practice to ensure everything is being done correctly according to securities laws, which is super important for investor protection. This legal opinion comes from Gowling WLG, a reputable law firm. Their role here is to essentially give their stamp of approval that the shares being offered can be legally issued and sold. It's like a quality check from a legal standpoint. Along with the opinion is also a consent from the law firm. This means they agree to have their legal opinion cited in this filing. Again, it's all about transparency and satisfying regulatory requirements. And finally, there is something called an interactive data file. This is basically a digital file that contains the same information as the report, but it's structured so computers can read and process it easily. This is part of what's called Extensible Business Reporting Language, or XBRL, which makes financial data more accessible for analysis. Now let's talk about what this means. New Horizon Aircraft Limited is essentially signaling that they anticipate needing or wanting to raise additional capital through selling their stock. The fact that they've already sold a chunk of what they initially planned and are now increasing the overall amount suggests a few things. One, their business plan might be progressing and requires more funding for growth, research, or operations. Two, they believe the market is receptive to buying their stock at current or anticipated prices. Three, they're keeping their options open for future funding needs. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Many companies, especially in growth phases, will continuously tap into the equity markets to fund expansion. It is a way to grow without taking on debt, however. It also means existing shareholders might see their ownership percentage diluted if they don't participate in these offerings. Looking at the securities registered, we see Class A ordinary shares and warrants. The company is using an at-the-market offering, often referred to as a capital-on-demand program, which allows them to sell shares into the market at prevailing prices. This is different from a traditionally underwritten offering where a bank buys a block of shares and resells them. This at-the-market approach gives them flexibility to sell shares only when it is advantageous for them. The key takeaway here is that New Horizon Aircraft Limited is actively managing its capital structure, and on the 31st of October 2025, they decided to increase the potential amount they could raise by selling more of their stock. They're setting the stage to bring in up to $50 million in total, with over $35 million available from that date forward. It indicates confidence in their ability to access capital markets and potentially a need for funds to execute their strategy. It's important for investors to monitor how these shares are issued and what exactly the funds are being used for, as that's where the real story of the company's progress will be told. So, what's my take on this? New Horizon Aircraft Limited is being proactive in securing potential funding. This isn't unusual, especially for companies in industries like aviation that often require significant capital for development and expansion. The increase in the offering size suggests they are either ahead of schedule on their plans, or perhaps have encountered new opportunities or challenges that require more funding than initially anticipated. It's a sign of active financial management, but as always, investors should be aware of potential dilution and the impact of these capital raises on their ownership stake. The success of this strategy will ultimately depend on how effectively the company deploys this capital to generate growth and profitability. Keep an eye on their future filings to see how they utilize this increased offering capacity. Alright, that's our quick decode of New Horizon Aircraft Ltd's latest announcement. What is your take on this move to increase their fundraising potential? Are they poised for growth, or is this a sign of something else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button, it really helps us out, and subscribe for more corporate deep dives. Don't forget to check out our Discord community linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.